Brock better be prepared for the 49ers to play some serious hardball. What's up? Welcome to Connor's Corner. That's Conor Wayland. I'm Grant Cohn. We write for 49ers on SI. The topic of today's show is the Niners fallback plan if they can't extend Brock Purdy, because I do believe they have a fallback plan, and I think I know what it is. So we'll get to that. But we have to like build there gradually. So I think the way this conversation starts logically is to ask Connor how much the 49ers should pay Brock and why. I guess this is a different question than what is Brock worth, because that's a tough one to answer. You can start talking about other quarterbacks. I'm asking, how much should the 49ers pay Brock?
So, yeah, I was thinking about it exactly the way that you were just saying. I had a whole thought process on, like, where does he rank among other quarterbacks that are making big money versus, you know, the whole field as a whole. But that number is completely different. The number that he probably should get paid, and if he gets paid anything higher, I'll be a little bit upset. Anything above 50. If he's making anything above 50, there's a problem. If you can convince him to get into 45s, 40, something like that, that's great. But I think his agent and him are smart enough to be like, we need to hit 50 at the least. And I think that's going to probably be the number that they agree on. It seems like that they're both aware enough to be like, all right, well, if we want to try, we can't give this guy the 60 or the 57 or the 58, because then we won't be able to really compete.
Okay. Let me throw something at you, and this might come out across as harsh, but let me see if I can cushion it.
Okay.
And it's not harsh to you. It would be harsh to Brock. So we're talking about like what's fair, or I think, again, anything above 50. Think about it this way. If they wanted Brock Purdy for the next 3 years, all they have to pay him is the $5 million this year, a little bit more. The franchise tag would make it 41 the year after that. And then the franchise tag again after that makes it 51 the year after that. You add up 5, 41, 51. It's about $97 million in change overnight. So that's what they have to pay him. Anything more than that is them saying, you know, we like you, you know, we want to maintain a harmonious relationship with you, but that's it. I mean, really, all they have to pay him is 3 years, 97. That's kind of like the Darnold deal, the Baker deal. And my question is, why should they pay him $1 more than they have to, especially given the season he's coming off? And I don't know, like, I'm curious to know the answer. It's not a rhetorical question. Like, I'm genuinely curious. What is the main reason to pay him more than you have to?
I think, the honest truth in today's league is that you have to make sure your players are happy, for starters. And if you upset him and he goes into request trade mode, seems like that's pretty bad for them. You know, Mac Jones, I don't know, but we can get into that more later. But I think it's really a big part of it is appeasing him. And I think that the realistic thing here is that the only like way that the Niners can realistically seemingly have a chance in the next 3 years, I'd say, is Brock needs to be around. Whether you like Brock, whether you hate Brock, he's going to be the best option, because it's not like if Shedeur Sanders falls, I personally don't believe he's going to be a solution. I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback for the team, and I don't think he can contribute as well as Brock. And I'm a Brock hater, to be completely frank, but like I still am aware enough that he has enough ability, even after the offseason or after the season he just had, where it was just horror, just absolute horror. If that's his worst, I think if that's his best, if that's his average play, I still think that's better than Shedeur. So it's like you kind of got to pick here.
Is it fair to say that at 3 years, $97 million, he's absolutely their best option? But yes. Right, like, but if he is insisting on more than that, 4 years, 5 years, 40 million, 50 million, all of a sudden you could start talking yourself into fallback plans. Like, yeah, you're our best option at on the franchise tag, but we don't necessarily look at you like the Eagles look at Jalen Hurts, because you're coming off a down year, and we don't want to really reward that. We have questions about you, and it would set a weird precedent for the future. So we're really prepared to make you play out your deal and get franchised twice. Happened to Kirk Cousins. It's not the end of the world. We'd like to give you some money up front and a signing bonus, but again, if we can get you for $397, we're not that worried about pissing you off, Brock. You're a nice guy. What are you going to do? You're going to go home and you're going to punch a pillow and you're going to say, gosh darn it. You're going to say fiddlesticks.
He's going to sound like Phillip Rivers on the field.
You'll get over it, man. You're not that. I'm sorry.
No, that was funny.
Horse feathers.
It just sounds like Phillip Rivers trash talk. That's what that is. It's great.
That's right.
But
what's he going to do about it, man?
Yeah, I think you and me are kind of saying the same thing. I feel like
why not play hardball with this kid?
I see that. I totally get that. Like, why not do it? But I think
be loyal to the team, not to him. I'm sorry. I'm keep cutting you off. Keep going. Go ahead.
You're good. Because we're thinking the same thing in the sense of like, listen, maybe 3-4 years, that's the best option. And you're suggesting just franchise tag him, pay him this year, then franchise tag him twice. I'm essentially saying the same thing. I want them to give him a 3-4 year.
It's a 3-year, $100 million deal with the signing bonus to give you some money up front, but it's the same deal.
Yes. It is the same deal, but it's just my deal is giving him a little more money to guarantee that like I want out right now doesn't happen. Because if, for example, he does be like, you know what, I've been the nice guy. I've been nice to this team. And you know what? This is my time to give him the bird. This is my time to show him the moon, be like, I'm out of town. If that happens, they're done. It's over. So I think the $40 million is worth that alone.
So I love it. I think that's the conversation the 49ers have had behind closed doors, and I think that's the truth of it. If the Niners really force Brock Purdy to play out his rookie deal and then play on the franchise tag, and if that's all they want to offer him, he could hold out. He could request a trade. But I don't know for certain. I mean, this is a guy who seems like the nicest person of all time. Do you think Brock Purdy would hold out if he doesn't get what he wants? I mean, Ayuk held out. Bosa held out. No one really, I mean, people were upset about it, but people also understood it's the nature of the business. And the Niners are notoriously like slow with these negotiations. They take a long time to up their offer. They play hardball for a while. They kind of dare these players to hold out. Do you think Purdy would do it?
Oh, it's such a tough question. Because like you said, he's the nicest guy ever. And that should make you be like, oh, I'm confident. There's no doubt. But then it comes down to the fact that he's been kind of screwed in the money field. And like, I don't know if he's feeling like, you know what? I want to secure my bag and take care of my family and provide. I might do it if I'm him. I think realistically. I mean,
you're looking at Bosa, you look at Ayuk, you look at Trent Williams. It worked for all of them. You're the quarterback. What are they going to do without you?
He's the most important piece. Everyone has done it. And the way that this team's like mantra has been about money has been kind of in a, like, not to completely just blatantly say that they're very pro players, just like holding out, but they've made it clear to each other that like, if you're going to do business, just deal with it. We don't have to talk about it, which to me, if I'm a player, I'm like encouraged to do that. That almost feels like, but I think honestly, the odds are probably like, if I'm a betting man, it's like 30, he like holds out, and it's 70, he doesn't. Like, I don't think he will, but I think he could.
See, that's to me another reason not to offer Brock Purdy even $40 million a year. Because it's like, dude, I'm calling your bluff. I think you want to be seen, and maybe this is me talking out of turn and getting personal, but I think he wants to be seen as the nice guy. I think he wants to be seen as the good guy. I think he wants to be seen as the leader in the locker room. And if he it's one thing for a wide receiver to hold out or a defensive end to hold out. But when the quarterback holds out because he's only being offered $35 million a year, he's only being offered a contract that would make him the highest paid player on the team, maybe you lose a little support. You know, maybe you're not seen as the good guy anymore. You're just seen as one of the guys, another guy who wants money. Let's like everyone else. I don't know if he wants to be looked at that way. I don't know if he wants to do his WWE heel turn and go straight into NWO. You know what I mean? Because that would be the NWO move.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if he just like came out and just started beating up Mac Jones or something and was like, you know, this is it. Just drops the
with
leg.
A chair.
Dude, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
That would be, I would pop.
This guy, boom.
Like, this guy's awesome. Oh my God. But I think with what you were saying though, because even though that was hilarious, I think I see what you're saying, that like he doesn't really have the gun to their head. And like, that's a totally good point. Like, he doesn't at all.
Like, Ayuk had it. Bosa had it.
Oh yeah. They both had it on him, and he does not. But this is where I think another issue comes up then, is that this is more of a reason why the Niners would still offer that, is that there is such a large portion of this fan base that are Purdy fanatics. Mass majority, I would think.
Are they though? Let me ask you a question. Are there guys? I feel like there were a lot of Jimmy fanatics until he was gone. I feel like there's a lot of people who are Kyle fanatics and who are into whatever quarterback is winning for Kyle at that time. And while Brock has fans now, if he goes down for a month and Mac Jones puts up a 4-0 record with a 115 quarterback rating, there'll be Mac Jones fanatics real fast. And they'll be coming from the Brock Purdy bandwagon.
I don't know. I feel like Brock fits today's type of fan better than any of those other quarterbacks. Like Brock does, because he looks like he's 14. Well, I think that plays a part into it, and being in the Bay Area and having another babyface assassin is a cool idea.
True.
He's more like
he got the Steph Curry thing going for him.
Yeah. He's more like a babysitting, like ninja in training. Like he's not really like he's not the same. But the reality is that he has had something that no other quarterback has had for the Niners in a little bit, other than like Kaepernick. But that's like the scramble ability. And it's not the best, but it's enough that it's like Jimmy was basically on stilts. Like it was just terrible. It was really, really bad. And everyone looking back,
it's like he was playing in combat boots. They're so heavy.
He was running around in full like ACU gear in the mud, the camos.
Yeah.
No, it was bad. Wait, by the way, now that I just have the topic of Jimmy, I just want to say, did I ever tell you I saw Jimmy Garoppolo in Hawaii?
No, tell me the story.
Oh, this was so funny. I was at this point, it was like, I'm 21 now. I'm with my dad in Hawaii with the rest of the family. I'm totally like tipsy. That's okay. I'm tipsy, to put it kindly. And we're walking through, and I sneak away from everybody else because they're slow, and I'm going to go to the bar and I'm going to get one more drink. And as I'm walking there, Jimmy Garoppolo walks right past me. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, Jimmy. He was like, yeah. And this at the time, this is when he had just signed for the Raiders. And I remember being a Raiders fan that I am. I was wanting to die. It was terrible. I was like, Jimmy's the quarterback. We're going to lose, and we're going to lose. And look what happened. We lost a bunch. So I looked Jimmy dead in the eyes, and I said, Jimmy, I'm so excited for you to be on the Raiders. Just like that. So just like being an absolute a-hole, to be completely frank. That's what I was doing. And he, I think, picked up on the vibe. And as I went for the like dab up, he was just like, all right, have a good one. And I was like, my family then came right after that. And I was like, Dad, please tell me you saw that. And he's like, I didn't see it. And I was like, oh, I got so mad. I was like, oh, but it was a great moment. I really tried to like be like, oh, sly. And he really gave it back. And I was like, I respect that at least. Like, that was good.
The chat's freaking out that you're a Raiders fan. Connor is from Oakland. He went to the same high school as me. Most people from Oakland are Raider fans. I'm not, because Lowell Cohn is my dad, and I grew up just hating on teams. Yeah. Hating. But no, I was a Niner fan, mostly because of Steve Young. Anyway, that's a great story. So neither of us think Brock's going to hold out, which makes me feel like, again, the Niners should play hardball. But let's go take it a step further. The reason that Brock might hold out is because the Niners have caved to players who have held out in the past. Holding out has been a fruitful strategy to star players in their negotiations against the Niners. Last year, Trent Williams held out. Brandon Ayuk held out. The year before that, Nick Bosa. The year before that, Deebo Samuel. I mean, works. So
a lot.
Are the 49ers going to handle holdouts differently this offseason? Are they finally going to put their foot down and say, this is unacceptable? We need all our players at training camp, because our training camp was terrible last year, and we conveniently used that as an excuse when we were going down the freaking tubes. This is important now. You got to be there or you're not on the team.
I think there's a better question to ask to answer this. Has Kyle Shanahan ever changed?
Well, it's no. But this would be like an organizational change. Like, hey, Kyle, we're not going to just give in to your buddies at the 11th hour because you're friends with them. Like, Parag's going to make the call, and Jed, and they're tough.
I think, honestly, I don't think that Jed and them really give like any single shits about winning. Like, if I'm just like really honest with the way this just went, I think that if you try and rag on Kyle, you're kind of like, I think he's going to be so upset with them, and then you're just alienating him and he's out. Maybe that's a good thing though. So like, who knows? But I just don't see it.
Am I wrong? When they used the holdouts as an excuse, they said they had a bad training camp last year because there weren't enough of their good players there. The practices weren't serious enough because without Ayuk, without Trent, I mean, how serious can you really take the session? Okay, if that's the reason that you got off to a bad start last season, then how can you allow Brock to hold out? How can you allow? I think there are two potential holdouts this year. Okay. Brock and Kittle. Kittle isn't going into the last year of his deal. Kittle wants an extension. I mean, usually star players don't freaking practice without an extension. And it's not just any extension. He's going to reset the tight end market. He's going to be the highest paid player at the position. It's going to be a 3 or 4 year deal. It's a big deal. So are the Niners going to allow Kittle and Purdy to wait to the bitter end of August, early September to get every penny they're worth like Bosa and Ayuk did? Or are they going to put their foot down and say, you're either on the field when training camp starts or we're shopping you and we don't care who you are? It doesn't really sound like the 49ers does it. I like the way it sounds, but it doesn't really sound like the 49ers.
It doesn't at all. Honestly, I'm still just kind of stuck on the idea of George Kittle having a possible holdout because I didn't even think about that, to be completely honest. Why
wouldn't he? I mean, the Niners aren't just going to give him what he wants right away. That's not how they do business. They make you wait until September. Why wouldn't he hold out? Yeah. He's 32 almost.
Yeah, it is getting to that point, but I just kind of see him as a player that he wouldn't do that for starters because he has such a positive relationship. But like at this point, everyone's done it, so you can't really leave it out.
Yeah.
Damn.
I can see him holding in, you know what I mean? Showing up, being there like a leader, but not practicing. And again, the Niners use this as a freaking excuse why they weren't good. Like, well, our training camp wasn't great. Okay. Well, I don't see how you can allow holdouts. And I don't know. Brock and George are the two big ones. We know that the Niners gave a 3-year contract to another tight end recently, a blocking specialist. And now they're bringing in Harold Fannin Jr. to a top 30 visit. He's supposed to be like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He's like a receiving specialist. To replace George, it would take 2 players, not one, because he's a Hall of Famer and the greatest tight end in franchise history. But even Ronnie Lott didn't finish his career with the Niners. Even Joe Montana, even Jerry Rice, even Roger Craig. These things happen. And if you're going to trade a guy, I don't know why I'm getting into a George Kittle trade thing, but I'm just saying, like, not that he deserves to get traded, but if you want to save money, if you want to avoid a holdout, if you want to trade a guy a year too early rather than a year too late and actually get something for him, you could get a whole hell of a lot for George Kittle. I'm just saying, either pay him or trade him. The whole wait around and let him hold out, that can't be an option this year for him or for Brock. That's how I feel. The Niners can't let that shit happen this year.
They shouldn't allow players to hold out. I agree. They should not. This season, that should not be a thing. Completely agree.
I don't think so.
I don't think that Kittle would do that. And I think that if Kittle tries to utilize that as an opportunity to get a contract extension, if you're the Niners, give him the damn extension. Who cares? Give him it. He's worth it. He's totally worth it. He was the best pass catcher last year. He was the best tight end in the league. He was so amazing. He needs to stay. If he goes, I think it's done. I think it's over. I think they're guaranteed last place if that happens. So let's just go over that, because if that happens, it's over. I'd honestly, I question this saying this, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like thinking, I think I might be more okay if Brock got traded than Kittle, which might be crazy. That might be crazy, but like, and it's also probably personal because I love Kittle to death. I love him so much. He's awesome.
Kittle's way better than Brock.
Yeah, just from like a positional value, like he's the best tight end in the league. Brock is not the best quarterback in the league.
And he's like he's like the biggest mismatch as a receiver too, because there's really no one who can cover him. No corner, no safety, no linebacker. I mean, what do? You have to double him. He's really good.
When you play defense against him, you're not like, we're going to limit him to like 1 or 2 catches. No, like he's going to get the ball. You just have to hopefully he doesn't get a really good ball. The only person who
limits George is Kyle. There'll be these games where Kyle calls four passes for him. It's like, hey man, you have a Hall of Fame tight end. Can you get over yourself and give him the ball, please?
Just stop pass it.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why did you just call a pass for Kyle Juszczyk, man? Can you just call more for Kittle, please?
Like if he got the ball most of the time, oh my God, I'd be so happy.
Jewish guy says if this gets 1 million likes, Purdy should get $60. Yeah, I'm trying to get this stream to 1 million likes. Can we get it there? I don't know. We got about 40.
I think he's trying to say that he wants Brock to get the 60 mil. I think that's what that is.
Mark Salas says, don't mistake Brock's niceness for weakness. He is trying to represent his faith as humble as he can. That's a good call.
I respect that, but bad.
That is a good call. And I'm not done talking about Brock. So look, we've kind of gone through this whole scenario. The Niners could offer Brock 45, 50, 55 to appease him. Or they could offer him $397 because that's all they have to pay him. And if Brock doesn't like it, he could hold out. And if Brock holds out this year, the Niners could trade him because they could finally say, you know what? We wanted to keep you. We offered you a lot of money. You didn't want it. You threatened to hold up our whole season. Not happening, Brock. You're replaceable. So we're going to trade you, and we are going to trade for Kirk Cousins. Don't hold your applause. Don't everyone just give me your standing ovation all at once. Here's the thing about Kirk Cousins. Let me spell it out for you. Is Kirk Cousins a better quarterback than Brock Purdy? No. But if the Niners were to trade for Kirk, he has 3 years left on his deal, and his base salary this year is $27.5 million. Next year is 35. Year after that is 35. 35 plus 35 plus 27.5 is 97.5. So they could get Kirk for the Brock Purdy, you know what I'm saying? Like for the Brock Purdy rookie deal to franchise tag. It's the same exact amount of money. So Brock, if you want to take that deal, you're the guy, man. You're the freaking guy. But if you insist on 120 million, 150 million, dude, we're getting Kirk because you're not that much better than him.
I can't.
And I love Kirk Cousins, and we hang out and talk, and we just talk about life.
Yeah.
We're just friends at this point.
You guys have known each other for a long time, huh?
Like, you're a good guy, but you're 24, bro. I'm 45. Me and Kirk just we when I talk about the 80s, he understands the 80s. There's a mutual understanding. You were born in 2000. It's hard.
Yeah, no, I get it. You'll tweet rap lyrics and Kirk knows it every time.
Absolutely. Like Brock's
Totally.
like, I went to church and I was born in 99. I don't understand. Yeah, sorry.
Just
listen to
Brock
country.
is like, can I maybe get like some just communion? Like that, I would just appreciate that.
Can we talk about Chris Stapleton? Kyle's like, no.
That's a crazy pull. I was not expecting that pull.
Absolutely
Chris
not.
Stapleton pull on the Grant Cohn shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that pull.
Look, we're talking about Shedeur Sanders, Aaron Rodgers. Let's get real. You said earlier in the show, does Kyle change? No. He wanted Kirk Cousins in 2017. He got derailed with the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. You think he's changed his mind? You think last year in Atlanta made Kyle change his mind about Kirk? Again, if it's Brock at 24 years old for 3 years, 97 million, obviously you take him. But if it's Brock who wants way more than that, or Kirk for that exact amount of money, it's Kyle, man. It's Kyle. And you know Kyle thinks he made Brock to begin with. You know he does.
He for sure does.
He for sure does. And
I think
might
he gives
be
him
right.
his credit, but he's still like, I think a good bit of him thinks that.
And it's like Brock, all that scrambling that Brock does. You think Kyle gives a shit, honestly?
No.
I don't think he cares. I
No,
think
he
he
doesn't.
feels like, dude, all my plays work. If you just had the vision and the arm, you wouldn't have to ever move, especially when I'm calling play action. Like, you scrambling around is telling people that my play didn't work. And that kind of pisses me off because they all work. Didn't you get the memo? They work. All of the plays.
Are you saying Kyle's like that kid in like math class or something like that, and you have like a group project, and he's like, we're failing because of all of you. I could have done this myself, like that.
Correct.
Vibe. That's okay. Yeah, that fits.
Yes.
That fits.
If we had Kirk in when I did this was Kirk, we got an A. You really think Kyle and Kirk are never going to work together again? You really think they're never going to work together again?
They should not. For the sake of humanity, don't do it. Don't. I'm sorry. I really wanted to like be on your side with that, but like
I'm not advocating for it.
Okay,
I'm not
true.
advocating for it. I'm saying we know Kyle Shanahan, and the fact that we don't think this is very likely to me is just straight up delusion. This is year 9 of Kyle. He doesn't change. He still listens to Lil Wayne like it's 2009, and he still texts Kirk Cousins every night. I don't know. Maybe I don't know about that, but I imagine they are still very close. And I don't know if they talk about it in text or not, but I think there's still a hope and a fantasy that they could reunite one day, like on a beach running in slow motion, and boom, they're back.
Yeah,
I
I
think
see. I see what you're getting at, and I see the idea that you're going for. But that
so. It's
idea
like let's
remains.
lowball Brock. Let's let him hold out. Maybe he'll request a trade. Maybe he'll make it easy for us. Maybe he'll give us no choice, and we'll have to get Kirk Cousins. Oh darn, that sucks.
Oh
It's
my
not what
God,
we wanted to do. Oh, oops.
That would be really funny. That would be so funny. But that idea belongs in one place and one place only, and that's Kirk Cousins and Kyle Shanahan's dreams. Okay, that's where that should only.
That's
live.
where like John Lynch and Jed York and Parag have to come in and be like, no,
Yeah, like just God, no.
We're not doing this.
Like, would you rather run it with Mac Jones than Kirk Cousins?
Correct.
I think I would.
Yes, absolutely.
No
yes.
doubt.
No question.
What
I
about
would
Aaron
rather draft
Rodgers?
Shadur Sanders. I don't. Why are you? I don't like the idea of paying more than a rookie deal for a quarterback you're not that into. Like 30 million, 40 million. Dude, he's either that guy or you got a guy on a rookie deal. I don't want the middle class. I'm bougie.
Yeah, you're bougie with it, but like
I want top of the line or I want knockoff.
You know what I feel like is kind of bougie though? A
What?
bunch of MVP trophies. That feels kind of bougie. I think that'd be better. Like if we're talking about plan B preferences, I think I'm the guy that has MVPs and that is like maybe a sociopath, but like he can really throw the ball, Like I'll take that. A legend.
Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a far superior plan B than Kirk Cousins. That is so obvious. But again,
just making sure.
We're trying to be like, we know Kyle, right? And we know Kyle and Kirk can work together, have worked together. They are more than just compatible. They're friends. Are Kyle and Aaron Rodgers compatible for a month? I don't think so. And they probably know it too. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe Aaron's thinking, no, I would love to play for Kyle Shanahan. And then a weekend he'd be like, nope, hate it.
So here's exactly how I think that would play out. Because I'm totally down with getting into this what if scenario now.
Yes.
I think that Aaron would want to do it with Kyle because he did it with Matt. So he did it with LaFleur. So I think he's like, oh, I've heard all these great things about Kyle. I'm going to go in.
I know the system.
Exactly. He's like, I'm set. And then he gets in there day one and he calls it audible. And then Kyle screams his head off. And he's like, okay, bad idea. Regret this.
Do you think Kyle would have the guts to scream his head off at Aaron Rodgers? It's one thing to do that to Jimmy. Jimmy's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy's not going to have a podcast anyone listens to. Jimmy has no horsepower. Aaron Rodgers does. And he's weird.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is more important to the history of football than Kyle Shanahan is.
Ooh,
he is.
I don't know, honestly.
Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback of all time.
You're right. I agree. Trust me, I'm an Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion, multiple MVPs. He's done a lot.
Kyle hasn't been a coach of the year or a champion, but he's number one in our hearts, which is what matters.
What's bigger than that, though, look at his coaching tree. That's what you should do. Look at how many coaches in today's game are from him. That's the only thing that I'll give him credit on, because that tree is legitimately, I think, one of the craziest coaching trees like of all time. It's so many top guys. So many. Like if you want to try and shoot some.
Are you putting McVay in his coaching tree? I would put McVay in his dad's coaching tree.
I think it counts as both. I think you can play it either way. They were under his dad, but like at the end of the day, it's still the Shanahan system, and he's like kind of a thing of his dad.
What if McVay says Kyle's in my coaching tree? Fuck that.
That'd be really funny. I'd love to see them bicker. That like
I'm a better coach than him. How do I have to be in his coaching tree? I'm legitimately better than him.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh, McVay is a lot better. Oh, and his team's gonna be really good this year too. Ooh.
I just think, Brock, if you're watching, you need to understand that you don't have the kind. You think you have a good relationship with Kyle, and you might, but you don't. I'm being serious. You don't have the kind of relationship with him that Kirk does. And Kyle would rather have you, obviously, because you're young and you're here, and the locker room likes you. But if you start asking for a lot more money than Kirk is making, I don't know if it's going to go so well for you. Because again, look at Kirk's contract. It would be 3 years, $97 million for him to play for the 49ers. It would also be that for you if they force you to play out your franchise tag. So you could ask for market rate. You could talk about Tua and Goff as much as you want, but I think it's about Kirk. I think it's about the options that Kyle Shanahan has. And you can't underestimate how much Kyle adores that man, adores him.
So, you know what you just did? You reminded me of another story. And this is how I know Brock's watching. Because the other day I was walking through, saw Brock Purdy, and he was like, dude, you write for Grant Cohn. That's my favorite writer. And I was like,
true story.
No. And he's like, I catch the stream. Totally real. Like, definitely real. Don't fact check it. Don't. It's like real.
True story. It really happened. Rod Simmons says, food for thought. Are the Niners secretly searching for a Luka type trade for either Brock, Bosa, or CMC? Would you be shocked?
Whoa.
I would not be shocked if the Niners are secretly, I mean, if they understand that Brock's really like holding out for a lot of money, thinks he can get it because the Niners capitulated to Ayuk and Bosa. And Kyle's like, you know what? No, not this time. We got Kirk. We got Mac. Those are my two favorite quarterbacks in the world, in the whole world. The person who liked Brock the most is Brian Griese, and he's gone. I'm not saying that this is going to work out. Kyle is not going to win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. So you could do things his way, and it's always entertaining. I'll give him that. It's not going to work. It could get close. But here's the thing. Despite all this craziness that's going on this offseason, all the players the Niners have lost and all the nothing they've done to replace them, on DraftKings, the Niners are favorites to win the NFC West. Like plus 125, Rams like plus 180, and then Seahawks, Cardinals both like plus 600. How do you explain that one?
That's not real. That's real?
It's real. It's 100% real.
That's the craziest thing I've heard all day.
I mean, the Rams literally added Devontae Adams. Literally won the division last year. The Niners literally came in last, and people are like, no. The Niners, when they're healthy, watch out.
Every team had a better offseason than the 49ers did. And every team was better than the Niners last year. Like, I don't know how that makes sense. Like, none of that adds up. Like, even the Seahawks, who did like the biggest trade, they got rid of Geno, they got rid of DK. They still got Cooper Kupp, who just won like Offensive Player of the Year a few years ago. And then they also got Sam Darnold, who, don't get me wrong, he choked in the playoffs, but he performed in the regular season. If he performs better in the regular season than the Niners don't make it. Like that's insane. I really have no explanation. I don't know how any world would be like, oh, they're one for sure. I think they have a good chance to lose the whole division this year, to be in dead last, but I think they're probably going to end 2-3, but like not one.
I have a theory. To me, there's a difference between like an official prediction and a betting line, because the odds makers aren't necessarily saying they think the Niners are going to win. They're saying like, if they put the line there, enough people will bet on the Niners and the Rams and the other teams that they can break even and make sure that they don't have a loss. So it's like they feel if they put the Niners at plus 200, that people would flock to that. Right. And it would smash that bet. And to me, so this really reflects the general public's perception of the 49ers. Despite everything that happened last year, Joe casual fan who bets on football futures in March thinks the Niners are good and that they just lost a bunch of people who don't matter, and they still have Kyle Juszczyk and McCaffrey's coming back and they're good. I guess there are a lot. I mean, that's kind of what a certain segment of Niners YouTube is all about, right? Talking about that kind of stuff. I just don't. It seems so unrealistic.
Yeah, I feel like the very much casual fan, they hear Kyle Shanahan's name and they're like, oh, good things, and they think that the team's really solid. But I think the people that were like witnessing the offseason and were like at least trying to pay attention and have, Rappaport and Schefter like followed on Twitter, like those type of people, if you got that, you're aware that the Niners are weak right now. Like, I feel like the whole conversation just like 2 years ago was that the window's closing and they need to like go now. And now we're 2 years later and they haven't won. So if you have a brain, you should put the pieces together that the window's still closing if they're losing players. So I just don't. I feel like if you are like, let's say I'm the casino and I put the line all the way in fourth, obviously, yeah, people would probably spam that, but I just would be like, well, it's not going to happen anyway. So like, who cares? Like, they're just going to lose their money.
Yeah, and to me, it's like people have done revisionist history on what happened last year. It's like, oh yeah, the Niners were 6-11, but they had injuries. They had like a ton of injuries, and so they won't this year. They'll have better injury luck and they'll be fine. Did they have a ton of injuries last year? Like Ayuk went down, that was big, but is he coming back? Is he going to be back for week 1 or week 10? And what will he be when he comes back? Trent Williams was there for a lot of those losses. And how many games is he going to play this year? Yeah. The one guy they really didn't have for like most of the time was McCaffrey. And he's great, or was. But is he going to be 2023 McCaffrey this year? Is he going to play 17 games? Or is he going to be, I mean, he's going to be 29. He has a ton of tread on his tires. Is he going to be in and out? I don't know. So it seems like if you really look at the injury excuse, it's the guy that was out was CMC, and you're counting on him to bounce back, be durable, carry a team, and then maybe like 5 or 6 rookies to be really good as well. That's when the Niners win the NFC West.
Yeah, that seems right to me. And it ties into something that one of the things that really upsets me about football sometimes is I get it. It's like one of the most physical sports possible, but teams that use injuries as an excuse, they forget like the one line in football that has always remained, and that is next guy up. So like, it doesn't matter. Like if you're next, then it's your time. So you better do it. And if you
also,
don't have
the
guys
greatest ability is availability, right? And you're invested in all these guys who are on the downside of their career and are starting to miss a lot of games. So if you invest in Christian McCaffrey, the gift is that he's a great player. The curse is that he's off the field a lot, and he was like that in his 20s. In retrospect, you should just be grateful that you got as much Christian McCaffrey as you did.
Yeah, and just wish it was at a different time.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. It's so weird. Where do you have the Niners ranked this year? Like, where do you think? I'm curious where your standings are for this division.
I just feel like they legitimately earned that 6-11 record. They're worse now than they were last year. Yeah. Their schedule is way easier, but their division isn't. So I want to see how the schedule shakes out first, but I could see this team winning 8 games next year, 9 games next year, right? As mediocre as it gets.
Wild card team, basically. If they're good, or they just are in the middle of the pack. I think
to make a wild card, you need 10 wins. I'm not certain that this team is a 10-win team, even with the schedule they got. And like, even if they win 10 games, all the other teams in the NFC West are facing the AFC South and the NFC South as well. I mean, there could be an 11-win team, a 12-win team. They could finish third with 10 wins.
Yeah, they totally could, because that division's like got enough teams that they can all really get to 10. I think. I don't think that there's one team in that division that can't get to 10.
Yeah, the Rams can get to 10, and then if the Niners can get to 10, then why can't the Cardinals
or the Seahawks?
Yeah, why not?
It's totally reasonable, honestly. It's weird. It's really, really weird.
Now, what if the 49ers trade Purdy to the Steelers for their first-round pick, and then trade, what would it take to get Kirk?
Oh, God. 6th? I don't think a lot. Atlanta wants him gone. They don't want
7th?
Something like
7th round pick?
Oh. Yeah, honestly,
that's when the Niners win the NFC West for sure. When they get Kirk back, McVay would be so mad.
Oh, big time. Oh, he'd be like, oh, it's over. Like, they're gonna win it all now. They have Kirk. It's Kirk and Kyle. We're done.
David Kendall Jr. says, sorry, I would extend Kittle over Purdy.
I agree.
Kittle. The thing about extending Kittle, all the reasons against it, he's getting older. He'd be expensive. Yeah, but he hasn't shown that he's slowing down at all. Tight ends can play into their mid-30s because you don't have to be fast to be a tight end. You could be a red zone threat and a blocker forever or for a long time. And tight ends generally make half of what wide receivers do. So they're usually cost effective no matter what. So yeah, if there's one guy you want to sign, that's the thing. The reason to not bring back Kittle is because you extended Trent, McCaffrey and Trenton McCaffrey, two older players, and it immediately blew up in your face. And now you're like, I'm a little skittish. I can't keep doing this. But George hasn't given you any reason to feel like he's falling off or breaking down. Although he is injured every year, he just plays through it. So
he's like a hockey player. I'm telling you, like he just doesn't care. He's like, so what? I'm hurt. I'm just gonna keep playing though. Like he does. The only time he stops is when the team's like, all right, like now we're making you stop. Like you can't choose.
I'm exactly the same way. Like my neck is sore right now, but I'm like, am I gonna not stream? No, because I have a standard, and I want to be the greatest of all time, and so I'm gritting it out. The pain level on a 1 to 10, it's a 13, as you can see. It's really tough, but I'm just different. I'm just different. You know what I mean?
He should go like that, you know? Like it's hard.
Like that.
I had a similar thing in my first football game in high school. I had like the worst migraine I've ever had in my life. And I was like in bed out. And then my coach came in and he gave me 2 Cokes and he was like, all right, go. Like chug those and go. And I was like, okay, sure. Nailed it, played the game. Then 2 games later, broke my wrist.
You know why you broke your wrist? Because you didn't have the Cokes. You needed the Cokes.
If I had the Cokes, I would have been fine. But like then I didn't do the Cokes and then it was over for me.
All day, every day, Kim says Pitt don't want Brock. They want an athlete at quarterback. I don't know what the hell Pitt want. They drafted Kenny Pickett in round 1 once upon a time. I don't know what they want.
Yeah, they've had a revolving door of quarterbacks for a really long time. It feels like they just like ever since Ben left, it's like, all right, who's new? Who's new? Who's new? Let's just try it. Let's try it.
Yeah, I don't think there hasn't been like a cohesive pattern or thread between the quarterbacks they've had since they had Mitchell Trubisky at one point.
Yeah. They had Mitch, they had Mason Rudolph, they had Kenny Pickett, they had Russ, they had Justin Fields.
I feel like they drafted Kenny Pickett hoping he would be what the Niners got from Brock.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean they necessarily want to give Brock $50 million a year. But no one has to. No one has to. Again, this whole thing about like quarterbacks getting paid because they want it and they get unhappy. I don't know. I feel like a lot of teams have gotten burned by these contracts and they're starting to care less and less about making quarterbacks happy. It's like maybe you need to be unhappy. Maybe you need to be making $37 million a year with a chip on your shoulder. I like that.
Well, I don't doubt the owners say that. You think the owners aren't thinking about how they can save money? Like the rich are always like, let me keep my money. Like that's not to be a prick,
let's just remind people, the Giants, the New York Giants extended Daniel Jones in 2023. It was, I believe, a 4-year, $160 million contract. 2 years later, less than 2 years later, they freaking cut him. Forget trading. Cut him mid-season.
Crying at the press conference mid-season.
They had all the reasons in the world to, he took us to the playoffs and this and that. And you look back, there was no reason to pay him.
No,
None.
not really, no. But like you can't deny though, you felt bad for the man that he had to go through that press conference, that they told him beforehand and they did a press conference for him to get cut. Like that was messed up. That was like,
and then people on ESPN were like, "Oh, boo-hoo, how much money did you make?"
Yeah, no, they did not care. I felt so bad for that man. I felt terrible. I was like, that sucks, dude. Like that. Really
and that's the thing with Brock. Like everyone loves Brock and treats him like they're his little brother. But once he's making $40 million a year and not winning or not producing, people are going to dunk on him so hard. Epic dunking.
For his sanity, he needs to win a ring soon. Because if he doesn't, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be bad.
I just think there's so much upside in taking that 3-year, $100 million contract and having all the fans and teammates act like you're a philanthropist. Like, yes, I only, out of the goodness of my heart, money doesn't matter to me. Money doesn't even matter to me. I just want to make $35 million a year and drive a Corolla because I'm simple. I like, you could really do that. I only make 35. Money? No, I want to compete and live a humble life, simple life. Once you start making 40 plus, it's like, actually, that's all I care about.
It's like, yeah, that's your life now. Yeah, no. Yeah. That is a good question, honestly. How much of football is Brock Purdy's life?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out once he gets paid. David Kendall Jr. says return of the Mac. All day, every day. Kim says Brock can't throw a wet or cold ball. Mm-hmm. Well, you try throwing a wet or cold ball. It's there. It's wet. and cold.
Hey, I have a crazy idea. You could
What?
try to do it after you practice it.
I have a crazy idea. You could slightly deflate the footballs so they're
Oh, wait a
easier to
second, wait a
grip.
second.
What do you think about that? I don't
Well,
think anyone's ever done this.
were you talking to Jim Irsay? Was that
Slightly.
or was it Belichick? Who were you talking to? Which side?
I just got this idea myself. I think it could work. No one would check.
Never heard of
No one
that.
would notice. Make a big difference.
I mean, who would check though? Like that would be like a team that would raise up like a AFC almost winners banner. You know, that's like
It would
kind of
be easy. You could not. There's no way you could get caught for something like that. There's no way you could get caught and suspended for 4 games for something like that. It wouldn't happen.
Definitely not.
As it says, if Brock was never drafted by the Niners, would he even be in a situation to get 35-40? As long as we're talking hypotheticals, if Brock hadn't been drafted by the Niners, the only reason Brock was drafted is because the Niners made that dream come true. It's a Make-A-Wish Foundation kind of thing. They made him Mr. Irrelevant. They could have made him an undrafted free agent. He would have been a priority undrafted free agent. Let's say he gets signed by the Browns or the Titans or the Falcons. Where is he today? Tearing it up?
I don't know. I kind of disagree, to be honest. I think
what?
that, well, with just the idea, I think he would still be getting money. I don't think maybe not 35, 45, maybe 35. Yeah, I think he'd have a Baker type deal because I think the Niners realized pretty quickly he's really talented. Like, okay, we should do something here.
Well, in comparison to Trey Lance, the guy who never played football in his life, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who didn't seem, he seemed like he went into retirement as soon as he got paid. He's like, you know what?
Oh, yeah.
I don't really want to do this that much. I'll do it during the football season, but when that shit is over, don't fucking call me because I'm not calling you back.
I bet
I got shit to do. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm hanging out with Connor. Okay.
Dude, I know for a fact, like I totally believe this. He's the type that when off season happens, he's like, all right, I'm not going to touch a football until training camp. Like he's like, all right, I'm good. He's for sure.
When you saw Jimmy, you should have been like, Jimmy, call Kyle back. No, he's on the Raiders at this point.
Yeah.
Jimmy, pick up your phone, dude. People are trying to contact you. What is the point of having a phone if you don't use it, dude?
Did Jed not want you, bud? What happened? What?
All day, every day. Kim says Pickett and Brock, same draft, right? So no, Pitt didn't want another Brock. It's true. It's true. And again, last year, Ayuk really played hardball with the Niners. And when they said, you're not worth $30 million a year, he was like, yes, I am. I'll prove it. There are teams that will pay me and trade for me in the same offseason. I don't know that Brock can prove that one or play that card because that team might not exist.
Yeah, it wouldn't really work. I have to say too, this guy that just donated, he has a Lego Doctor Doom as his profile picture. You think I might dunk on that? That's fire. That's heat. That's heat. He's pulled out the Lego like the Lego DC characters. Like, whoa, come on,
absolutely.
That's a great pull. That's a great pull.
I love that.
It might be better than Chris Stapleton. It might be for my age. It's a good one.
So when the Niners trade for Kirk Cousins, are you going to give me some credit?
Oh, I will do a tweet right like the minute that happens, if it does. And I will say Grant Cohn is the greatest journalist in football history. Not even just the NFL, just football history.
Thank you. I don't think I know football better than other people, but I do think I know Kyle Shanahan. This is the test. After 9 years, do I know Kyle like I think I do? If I know Kyle like I think I do, he is racking his brain, figuring out how to get Kirk Cousins on this team once and for all.
You gave yourself a pop quiz. I love this. Like, I don't even have to teach. You're doing it all.
Try. Anyway, Connor, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm flying to the owners' meetings tomorrow. So this is my final stream. Before then, I'll be streaming from an Airbnb in West. I don't want to tell people where I'm going to be.
There
I got stalkers out there.
Don't do it. You don't need that. You don't need that in your life.
Yeah. I'm going to be in West, East, North, Central town.
He's going to be in Canada, baby. He's in Ontario. Yeah. Meet him up in Ontario. There's going to be a meet and greet. It's going to be sick.
Yes. So next time you hear from me, I'll be down in Florida. Allegedly. See you guys there. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you. Peace.
I want people knowing where I'm going to be. I don't trust any